right, so we'll call the meeting to order. And I guess the first action is to approve the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
Can I get a second?
Second.
I should say, this is a meeting of the City of Bel Air Beach Audit Committee meeting, Monday, June 13th at 5 o'clock. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the agenda is passed. So we'll go on to point number 2, to review and accept the annual comprehensive financial report, known as ACFR, for the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2021. Anybody have any questions on the audit?
Well, to John's point, didn't the city council already vote on this? Or was that the
Yeah,
first?
so the city council approved the draft, which is what we
Okay,
have.
the draft, okay.
Hey, how are you? So the draft was approved by city council.
Before it was reviewed and
So-
approved by us.
The challenge is Salt Marsh got the draft completed into the city the day before the agenda had to go out. And it has to be approved this month.
Yeah.
I think it's within 9 months of the fiscal year end, and so it had to be approved in the June meeting. So that was the only meeting. Otherwise, we would have had to do a special council meeting just to approve that.
And they had the wrong date.
So,
One of the dates was,
To John's comment on why we were approving the fiscal year
Yeah.
ending 9/30/2019,
19.
Yeah.
it was a typo on the agenda for the
Right,
city
okay.
council meeting.
Yeah.
It got corrected
yeah,
at,
in council.
yeah. It was just a typo, it was the 2021.
okay, that's what.
So I don't know if anybody went through the audit, had any questions. I did catch something that I emailed to Patty, and it was a schedule. So the first, the balance sheet, the income statement looked fine to me. The city finished the year nearly 800,000 ahead of change in net position. Budgets are normally for a break even. 400,000 of that plus was driven by the monies we got from the federal government that to be expensed this
Right.
next year. But on page 69 of the audit, and everybody doesn't have the audit, but it was just, there was a schedule about prior year millage rates. And so they had 2016 through 2012 that the city millage was at 2.3094. There's a typo, it should have been 2.0394. So Lynn responded to me in a phone call that, that's why this is a draft. So they've already reached out to Salt Marsh to correct that.
I should have weighed in then, because on page 42, there's a line that says deficiency of revenues under expenditures, and it's actually the opposite, the deficiency. It should say excess revenues over expenditures, I believe.
Which
What
page?
Page 40, well, it's 42 on my,
Oh, shoot, so there's like 20 pages off.
it's 20 pages up. That was just when I go online and look at the report, it would have been page 42. I don't know what page of the draft. I could find it if you'd like me to. It's not a big deal, it's just,
Is it this page?
no, I can tell. I used to audit cities, and if I might weigh in,
Go.
it's ridiculous how long this takes. I mean, it's just period, end of story.
Yeah.
It shouldn't.
Well, I
But-
think they had a change in staff, and so.
Oh, whatever,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. You want me to find it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you can continue. The only other thing, I had a question, why do we show the principal taxpayers from 2021, 2012? I don't
The
get-
change in it? Or-
Well-
No, the top taxpayers
They-
in the city.
They have
I
a
don't-
schedule who.
Yeah, I saw
it's-
that.
It's a,
I didn't
it's probably to
understand
measure concentration of revenue is, I guess, is the purpose of that schedule.
Yeah.
Or to show,
I don't think it's really to name anybody out.
no.
But it
I think
does.
It definitely does. But just to show change in values over time, regardless of whose property it is, it gives us an idea of where we were before and where we are today, which is quite
Right.
distressing. I mean, it's nice, but it's distressing.
If you see down about halfway, it says deficiency of revenues over, and if you look, revenues are more than expenditures, if I'm reading it correctly.
What page are we on?
So this is page 23 of the audit.
Oh, deficiencies. Yeah, excess of revenues.
Exactly.
Efficiency of revenues under expenditure.
I mean, I don't even know if it's grammatically correct what they're saying, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's not a huge thing.
So, I mean, I guess the question is, if it was a deficiency, would they have done it in parentheses?
Yes, I guess. Yeah, because
So that's why
there
there's
is
no
a,
policy.
there is a fund where there is a negative, where the expenditures are more than the revenues. And they go deficiency of maybe of revenues over expenditures, something like that, which was correct on that scale.
Yeah, this-
But this
so-
one isn't. It should say excess revenues over
Or
expenditures.
sure, or deficiency of excess revenues over expenditures.
Correct. That's what it should say.
So, page 23, John.
Okay, so deficiency of
So,
revenue
de-
should say,
Deficiency of revenues under expenditures should say
Excess.
excess
should say excess
of revenues over expenditures.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, got it.
So it was a negative number?
No, it's a positive number.
No,
It's a positive variance. This is measuring budget, original budget to final budget to actual.
Okay.
All right, anybody else, any other questions? Can I get a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion to accept with the two noted changes.
Okay.
The one on page 23 and the one on page 69.
What is proper? They can come back and send us a memorandum of correction or something that we include with it, or do we
Well, I think
just,
what happens,
do we?
Kyle, the city will communicate to Salt Marsh,
Yeah,
and then they'll either agree
Whatever.
and change it, and then in the final, when the final gets published, then it'll
it'll
be
be correct, okay.
Did you get a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And then general business, open up for discussion. I know this is the audit committee, but do we want to also call the finance committee and put John's concerns? Do we need to address the overall, or recommend council address a master?
Don't we have a master stormwater plan?
Well, we do have a master stormwater plan. I think the challenge is it's dated. So the projections that we, Having it.
For costs.
for costs.
Yeah, so I think that it's really, it's a part of the responsibility of the city team to make sure that anything we're not only contemplating, approving, discussing, or recommending, that we have a pretty current set of costs so that we aren't dealing with old numbers when we go, oh yeah, this is good for us to do. Maybe we ought to set, maybe there should be something in the city code that says it's standard to review old plans for expenditures every 3 years or whatever it is.
I think the challenge is, right, the budget was set at the $500,000 number for that.
Yeah.
And that's what was put in the budget. And then when they got the actual bids, it is,
Yeah,
They were reviewed in 2019 after the plan was done in 2016.
yeah.
so it is every 3 years, it sounds
Yeah,
like.
yeah, so, but how do
So they
we
need
account
another
for
review.
unusual times such as this, when we're talking about what our recommendations are for moving forward with a project or with a plan, we should know, we should proactively be looking at those things before we're faced with it.
Or is it, do we feel at any point in time
We should ask
construction
for it.
price are gonna come down? Is concrete and steel gonna come down, or?
That could be a comment, I doubt that. I
Or
mean,
or do we,
you know, as
do we-
labor
or
costs
do we,
change.
as a, finance committee, say, let's look at the entire projects that are still on the
Yeah,
plate?
how many open projects do
And
we
then
have,
Do we need
and are
to,
they impacted?
do we need to do a bond issue and just get it done with and pay them off over the next 3 years?
That would be one way
I
to
think that's something
attack
you
it.
suggested
Yeah.
a while back. I would be in favor of that, rather than,
Piecemeal.
I mean, there are some people, probably council members, Leslie, that would say, oh, we need to go back and recalculate everything and rebid everything.
Oh, God.
My point would be, if that is the recommendation of the council to do, or they vote to do that, I'm not sure I'm in favor of that, but I would recommend that they put an inflation factor into their costs if they're going out years. Because that's what's happened here, right? 12th and 13th Street, which budgeted at 520, and now it's 717 or something. Nobody thought the cost would go up that much. But we're talking about a report that is how many years old? 6 years old? Is that correct?
6 years on the report.
Yeah.
3 years, they did another update to the cost.
Oh, okay, well, 3 years and costs have gone up, so.
Yeah.
I like the bond issue thing, but just get it done with.
Yeah, and,
But John's comments, I read your email, which I really respected, was that you didn't say it, but it's almost like they're kicking the can down the road again, or seem to be, and I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth.
Well,
But-
but what I had said before you came in, John, was, I got to some point, partially kick the can down the road, but put a screeching halt on it. Just slam the brakes on it and stop. Because one of the arguments that Lloyd Roberts made during his comments was the reinforced concrete is gonna last indefinitely, supposedly. He didn't see the rationale for going to the larger pipe. Well, at the time, I wasn't sure about it, so right after the meeting adjourned, I went to Lynn and I said, okay, the old system, what's the inside diameter of the pipe? He said 10 inches. I said, what do we upgraded to? 18. So it's gonna accept more volume. So you're gonna do half of the city and leave the other half of the city in the old way? And part of my process was, sitting there listening to that was, okay, I didn't even think about a bond issue, but go back and look at the strategic plan about the storm system. And if the costs are gonna be where we're at now and maybe go higher, maybe we can't do 2 streets every fiscal year. We may have to stretch it out a little bit further. Because now you're literally at the higher end of the city. So maybe we can afford to a point to do 1 street in a year, whatever. Or, like you said, maybe the bond issue. But before we do a bond issue, we gotta know cost.
So I think the recommendation is that they relook this and factor in higher than projected inflation for the coming
The
years.
next,
And look at all the options, look at the bond option and doing it all, look at the option you've got of slowing the project down, right? Look at all those options.
So,
I have a curiosity question that you may know, Ron. If you had let's say the total cost, I'm just picking a number, to finish the streets was $4 million. And you did a bond issue for $4 million. And you wanted to get it done, and let's say you could find a contractor or contractors who can get it done in 2 years. And they come in at total after 2 years at $3.5 million. You have $500,000 of excess bond proceeds. What do you do with that money?
you can set it back. Or if it wasn't needed, then and the city council had another project, then they would have to
Okay.
get approval
from the citizens.
To get,
But
I don't know if
you
it's a
could-
vote of the citizens.
No, I don't know
It's a
either,
capital
but I would
improvement.
think that to get a
I don't
bond
know,
issue,
Kyle, do the citizens have to approve any debt?
yeah, I believe they do.
I'd have to look that up, I don't know.
I think a bond issue,
I think
Because,
they
for
do- I think they
example-
do, like undergrounding, everybody affected had to,
You know, we all had
We
to
all had to
get
approve it.
51%.
yeah.
when we did the stormwater fee, when we sat here and approved that, had to put it on the ballot.
Yeah.
So a bond issue, the citizen's gonna have to vote on,
Yeah.
something that's significant.
So you can pay it back, or like you said, it could be diverted to an existing, another project that's,
Kind of where we are too, right? So you get it set up, it's interest only for a couple of years. This is paid off in 2026. And so payments will kick in when these payments go away. You could bridge it. And then the building would still be, you know, free and clear. So, so I guess, so how would we want to just put a comment in general business?
You wanna do it under general business? Because we got minutes here, or a form sheet for the advisory committee, because we're supposed to discuss these score sheets. For whatever reason, we could put this information we're talking about under general business here.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so then do I need a motion to adjourn the audit committee meeting?
Yeah.
I so move.
Second.
You can't say so moved, you have to say what the motion is.
I move that we adjourn the audit committee meeting. If that's correct.
And John, you second that
Second.
move?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?